Okay, today I want to show you uh, my console that's going to go in on Monte Carlo. This was the one that was in there when I picked up the car. It was not attached, and as stated earlier, somebody had put a Camaro shifter in it and had cut out all of this. So I had to find a replacement. As you can see, it is a used one, but used works good for me. Um, I mean, as soon as I put a new one in there, 5 minutes later it becomes used anyhow. So I'm just going to kind of clean it up. What's unique about this is that this one has the coin tray, and I think it's been added on to it because it looks like a newer material from underneath. Originally, these 85s came with what is known as a bread box. You can see it right there. Mine did not have one, so either the interior was swapped with an 86 or they added this coin tray on after selling or damaging the original bread box. What I'm going to do is I'm going to remove this. I'm going to try to do it very carefully because if any of you know, when you handle your console by this, it will just snap right off. It's just a very thin plastic holding it together with rivets. So I'm going to show you what I do to get that off of there. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is remove the shifter plate. And I'm going to do that by unfastening these screws that should be here. Only one is here, so it'll be easy to remove. Okay, so with that removed, it reveals the inside. And as you can see, I have done a little bit of surgery on this. If you've been following any of my other videos, then you know that I had some fan blade material that was fiberglass that was from my in-laws porch fan that I replaced. It was old, and but the blades were still in relatively good shape, and that's a good material for doing these repairs. And so basically I trimmed it out. It was busted up in here. I trimmed it out even more. I used this material to make something that I could replace within there. And then when I turn this over, you'll see that how I fastened it was with hot glue. You have to use a pretty decent hot glue gun. The little dollar store ones that you get just won't do the trick. The glue is cruddy. You need one that's halfway decent. It doesn't have to be the most expensive one, but it does have to be a good quality one. Okay, as you can see, I have this resting on some blocking material, just some scrap wood that I had, so that it's not hanging. Again, be careful of this because handling it could cause these to break. As you see, they're just rivets. They're riveted in there, and over time this plastic becomes brittle. The fact that this is in such good shape and that one is missing leads me to believe that this particular piece, and this particular piece right here, is not original to this console. I believe it was added later. So it may be in a little bit better condition than most of them. I went ahead and I put some sort of a clamp on these, just some little spring clamps that I had. And the reason is because when I start drilling this out, right here, I don't want the stress of this to cause any cracking. I don't want any excess vibration to cause it to crack. I want to try to save this because somebody else might be able to use it, even though I'm not necessarily going to. But you know, I have a lot of people are rebuilding these, and anything that we can save, because these items are becoming more and more difficult to find. So let's get on it. Now, I'm going to go ahead and utilize a fairly good sized drill bit. The object isn't to drill all the way through, it is merely to cut the head off of this. So you want to use a larger size bit than what the opening you see, because you want to cut that material away. And stop when you cut through it. The backside should just fall off. So let's see if we can make that happen. Okay, I've cut through and I felt it release a little bit, so I'm just going to try to get something down in there to pull it off, and I may have to do a little bit more drilling, but that will come off. I don't know if you can see down in there, but you'll see how it's becoming separated from the other side, and that's what you want. When that back pops off of there, then that's what releases it. Alright, so once I got through it, you see the end kind of stayed on there. You just want to do a low speed, not a high speed. You don't need speed for this. You guys need to take your time and make sure you get it off of there. The other part is in there. You see it's still there, and it should just fall away. But it might not, but it is definitely loose from there. Once we pull these clips off, that should just pop out fairly easily. But let's do the other side. Okay, so out of the back side, you see the portion of the rivet is still there, and if I tried to force that through, I would end up breaking this. So what I'm going to try to do is, if you just take a small punch or something that will fit down in there, you should be able to push that rivet out without too much trouble. I say should, I haven't tried it yet. And then with that, you can crush this or manipulate this down so that it's small enough to go back through without doing damage to the part. Okay, so I didn't even really need a little punch to get those out. I just used my thumb and pushed them right through. So no harm, no foul. Nice and easy. Okay, so there you go. Have it. It's undamaged. I'll just clean this up, and I'll put it on our forum and see if somebody can use it. It looks to be in really great shape. Alright, so I used this here as a guide for what I've got to cut out. And so I'm going to cut that out, and then I'm going to drill it together, and I should have my console back together. I'm not going to leave it together. Once I get it together and I'm sure it's good, I will remove it. So I'm going to use removable screws for this. So the point of this video is to show you that even though you start a project and you get quite far along and you think it's going to work, it doesn't. This part broke off. The original part that I had on there, you know, you saw a previous video where I was trying to shape it and make it. I actually cut it too short, which just threw everything off. It put my screw holes precariously close to the edge. It just made it weak. And then here, I didn't have it filled in all the way in some areas. So I really let the hot glue get in there, and then I added this brace. This brace, I think, is the whole thing, because what happened, it was putting pressure on it this way, and it was creating a strain here on this mating surface. By adding this, I extended some of the weight across the whole box instead of just putting it right here. And because I did that, I think it made the box structurally more sound, and it made this a stronger, right angles to make it stronger. These were originally supposed to have sides. The sides are busted off, as you can see. And those are what gave it a little bit more rigidity. Once you bust those off, it just weakens the whole system and it starts to collapse. And you can also see that there was some structural damage inside, probably where they tried to take it out. And again, this thin plastic is just, over time it just becomes brittle. It feels pretty good, but you put any kind of pressure on it and it'll snap. It kind of reminds me a little bit of Bakelite, but it's not. It's plastic, but Bakelite would do that. It would be really hard, really tough. You could knock on it, but you just bend it one way and snap. Snaps right in pieces. So, all right. I don't know if I mentioned it, but my back mounting, my tab on my drive shaft tunnel doesn't line up for some reason, and I'm not sure why. It's a little low if I push it back further, and it's too high if I or it pushes the breadbox out further if I lift it up higher. So I don't know what's going on with that. I don't know if somebody made some adjustments in there or not to it, but I'm just going to do it to make it work, even if I have to fasten it mechanically to the top or create some other sort of fastening surface. I could fasten it. Okay, so ultimately the idea is that once the car is ready, and we still got a long way to go, is to go ahead and prep this for new paint. I can either go back to the medium gray, which would be appropriate to the car, but here's the deal. When we put a new dash pad in, and it's similar to this, but we didn't paint it. We put the black in, and the black looks very good. But now you get into a situation where if we had just kept the coin tray, it wouldn't have been a big issue. But now this sort of ties in the console with the dash. So what do? Do we go back to the black to match the dash? And then we would have to paint out the console black as well. Or do we paint the dash medium gray along with this and the console? Because the console is going to get a repaint anyway, even though it is medium gray. It needs a fresh paint job to look good. So there's the dilemma. I'm leaning toward painting everything. It's a lot more work rather than just painting the dash, but who knows? Again, we're not building a show car. I'm not looking for points. I'm not looking for accuracy. I'm just looking for what looks good and I feel good about driving.